Smart contracts for dumb people. When I say dumb people, I'm including myself in that. Now, I'm a software engineer. Many of you watching this are probably going to be software engineers in what we call the traditional Web 2 world, if you want to call it that. I'm not sure I agree with the terminology, but I've always been inclined and sort of bit intrigued about the world of Web 3. Now, if you ask most people what do you know about the world of Web 3, it's meme coins, Trump coin, Fat coin, Solana, pump fun, and usually not anything technical. But I'm here to try and change that. Now, why am I here to try and change that, and what's this video going to cover? Well, many moons ago, I career changed into software engineering, and I helped a whole lot of people do the same. I broke a lot of barriers and a lot of stereotypes, and I built a pretty big reputation doing that. And now I'm going to do the same for software engineers breaking into Web 3. So this is the first of a series of videos covering different Web 3 technologies, terminologies, as I build my way through the Web 3 ecosystem, possibly even to a Web 3 engineer, who knows? Now, what we're going to cover in this video? Well, in this video, we're going to cover smart contracts, what they are, how we use them, why we use them, and the benefits that they bring the Web 3 ecosystem, because let's face it, without smart contracts, it wouldn't exist. Now, I've started with smart contracts because they're a very interesting concept which not a lot of developers are familiar with. Now, in terms of jobs in Web 3, you can be a smart contract developer and earn six figures quite comfortably. I know people who work for multiple companies as smart contract developers, as subcontractors, and they are driving Ferraris. And I want some of that Ferrari money. Let's be absolutely honest. Why would you not? So, to start with, what is a smart contract? So, in its most simplest form, a smart contract is a self-executing block of code. Now, what does that mean? What does a self-executing block of code mean? Okay, so by that I mean they are a program that live on a blockchain. They have an address, much like an API endpoint has a specific address that you can call to get some data back. But a smart contract, when it's deployed to a blockchain, whether that's Ethereum, whether that's Solana, whether that's another chain out there, lives on the chain at a specific address. Now, a smart contract is very smart, but it's also very dumb. Why? Because it will not execute, it will not do anything until certain conditions or parameters are met. Now, what's an example of that you may have already heard of? Well, say for example, you were an exchange or you were sort of a decentralized finance application and you wanted to split a payment to two different addresses. So your conditions in your smart contract would be when I receive two different addresses and a number or a value amount of whether that's Ethereum, whether that's XRP, whether that's blockchain, split it equally between them and fire it off. Now, that smart contract will only execute when it gets the two addresses and the value being sent to it. Now, that basically means a smart contract is a set of functions and data that executes when the parameters are met. Now, what's another cool thing about smart contracts? Well, they are deterministic. And what we mean by this is that you will always get the same output no matter what you do, because they will only ever accept the same parameters. If you don't give it the same parameters, now don't get me wrong, it can be two addresses, two different addresses again, and a value that can change. It could be one Bitcoin, 2 Bitcoins, 10 Bitcoins. As long as it meets those requirements, the output will always be the same. If it's to, say, for example, split that payment between two different addresses equally, it will never split it unequally. It will never give it to one address over another. It will always give the same outcome. Now, we spoke about smart contracts existing on the blockchain. So what are the benefits of that? So a blockchain doesn't sit on a singular computer like a server or a set of servers that are owned by a specific company. Blockchains, and therefore smart contracts, exist across thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of different computers, which means that smart contracts cannot be changed. They're immutable. They cannot be hacked, because you would have to gain more than 51% control of that network to be able to make a change. This is one of the foundations of blockchain technology. It's decentralized. Like I said, it's not owned by one entity. It's spread across tens of thousands of computers owned by so many different individuals, all speaking to each other and all speaking to the blockchain to verify that everything on there is accurate. Now, what's something else cool about smart contracts? Well, smart contracts can call other smart contracts. You can build them together like Lego building blocks, putting them together. One can handle payments and one can handle permissions, and they can exist or call each other to execute a function or a block of code or a workflow. Now, why did smart contracts come along? Well, quite honestly, because smart contracts can execute without a middleman. What does that mean? Well, a smart contract, as we mentioned, will execute when certain parameters are met. So that could be something like you've missed your plane for whatever reason. It may not be your fault, and they need to pay you an insurance claim. Well, a smart contract could, in theory, be tracking your flight, see that it's landing more than 5 hours late, and automatically execute an insurance payment to your account instead of having to be on the phone to the airport for like 13 weeks. A smart contract never sleeps. It's always active. It can always be executed. It is a smart lawyer. Okay, so that's a pretty basic overview of what smart contracts are, how they work, where they live. Now, again, as this series progresses, it's going to get more technical. We're going to dive deeper into things as I start building things in Web3 as well. So make sure you check it out. And I'd love to get your input in the comments. If you're someone who knows more than me about Web3 and more than the people in the comments, feel free to share some knowledge with us.